You're watching WICS News Channel 20. The news starts now.
AIDS, it's a growing problem in the African American community, but an even bigger problem is the number of people who are not informed. Good evening to you. I'm Susan Fenton.
And I'm Sean McLaughlin. AIDS and HIV are colorblind.
But at last report, more than 20 cases of AIDS and 58 cases of HIV have been reported in Springfield's African American community. But officials say an even bigger problem is a lack of AIDS education in the black community. As Gary Alexander reports, now a new agency is trying to save people's lives by putting that message on the streets.
Good evening. How you doing, sir? My name is Michael Brown, and I'm just concerned about the community here, about HIV and AIDS.
For more than a year, Michael Brown has been hitting the pavement in the African American community, spreading the word that AIDS is alive and well on Springfield streets. Brown is part of the African American AIDS and HIV Coalition. Its mission, to let people know AIDS is here and it can be beaten with education.
One of the things we need to realize is the fact that it does exist, and we've got to find some ways of helping the people, whether it be those that are living with HIV and AIDS or those that are family members.
Wherever there are ears to hear, Brown will go, sharing his words of wisdom.
The number of cases is outrageous right here in Sangamon County.
Today, it's in the Mr. Fresh Barber Shop on South 15th Street, where his message was heard.
People don't really take key until it hit home, you know, so it might be a little bit too late. You have to go on and do it before it even set in on you.
Despite some resistance to his message, Brown pushes on, showing in life how to avoid the promise of death.
I've been HIV positive for more than 10.5 years, and I'll educate anybody. I'll go anywhere and talk to anybody about this disease.
Along with personal experience, Brown passes out condoms and pamphlets. Anyone seeking more information is asked to call the coalition at the Community Federation Office building. The number there is 557-0045, and it's located in the Dr. Lee's building on South 13th Street. Now, this is one of the cards Brown and other members of the coalition are passing out. It includes numbers of the State Department of Health for additional AIDS information. Susan?
All right. Thank you, Gary. Well, there is some encouraging news tonight in the fight against AIDS. Researchers say an experimental AIDS vaccine made from HIV genes has protected chimpanzees for more than a year now. Tests in people are underway now to detect side effects and to see how that vaccine affects the body's defenses against the disease.
The Central Illinois teenager we told you about suffering from meningitis has died. Taylor Hull had been hospitalized at Memorial Medical Center in critical condition until the time of his death. Services for Taylor will be at Fullenwider Park in Mechanicsburg. Visitation is set for 6 to 8 o'clock Thursday. The funeral will be Friday morning at 10. A fund to offset medical expenses is being set up tonight. We'll pass along this information when it becomes available. Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Mike Royko has died. Royko suffered a brain aneurysm at his Winnetka home a week ago and had been in critical condition at Northwestern Hospital since then. For decades, Royko put the thoughts of working-class Chicago into its newspapers. He was 64.
Many vendors seem satisfied with new fees the Sangamon County Liquor Commission is about to require for some coin-operated machines. Tonight, members of that commission announced a fee structure that covers 7 types of coin-operated machines. Money raised would be used to help pay for a new liquor inspector brought aboard this year.
Was that we will charge each establishment under the Sangamon County Liquor Committee's jurisdiction $100 per year, and the vendor or machine owner will pay $25 per machine per year.
About that, but
County board members have to give the final okay to this fee structure, and they're expected to do that at their next meeting, which is May 12th.
Dozens of people with disabilities gather at the Capitol tonight. The group says it's using the rally as a chance to let lawmakers know about their concerns. The Coalition of Citizens with Disabilities in Illinois is concerned about pending changes in the Department of Human Services. Following the rally was a social gathering at the State Library. That rally is part of the 13th Annual Disability Rights Conference in Springfield. Hundreds of people from across the state are taking part in the event, and organizers say those numbers can make a big difference. Getting around can be a bit challenging for Kathy Cates. She suffered a spinal injury after being hit by a car when she was 16. She says life for persons living with disabilities is improving, but not without some disappointments.
The curb is too high to step up on, so you got to walk all the way around the other, to get to where the ramp is. And little things like that, that's the things that bother me.
That's one of the reasons behind the annual Disability Rights Conference. It gives people with disabilities the chance to come together and discuss issues that impact their lives and present their ideas to lawmakers.
People with disabilities have a lot of barriers to have access to policymakers, and this is a chance for us to come together to do that.
Among the issues the Coalition of Citizens with Disabilities in Illinois wants lawmakers to address are pay for personal assistance, changes in the Department of Human Services, and health care reform.
Program this week.
Kathy Kate says she's been to all but one of the 13 annual conferences, and she says with each one, another step in the right direction. The conference continues tomorrow with several workshops scheduled. Topics range from abuse and neglect of people with disabilities to transition from the classroom to the workforce.
It's the first time in history, in Illinois history, a Supreme Court Chief Justice has faced possible impeachment. And the committee that will decide whether or not to recommend impeachment for Chief Justice James Heupel laid out its ground rules today. They heard from legal experts on ways to conduct an unbiased hearing. Because of the rarity of impeachment proceedings, lawyers impressed upon lawmakers the seriousness of this discussion.
Not only will your decision be of importance to the state of Illinois, and not only is your decision being watched carefully by every judge, but it is being watched nationally because you indeed do, in part, set a national standard.
This committee has until May 12th to make their decision of whether or not to recommend the impeachment of Justice Heupel. Here's a quick look now at tonight's Capitol Notebook. A bill aimed at protecting your children is racing through the Capitol. That bill would require all school buses in Illinois to put extended arms on them to protect your children. Springfield area school buses are already applying these safety arms.
If you've been in Nokomis recently, no doubt you've seen some students with their minds on the sky. Students at Nokomis South Middle School are just finishing up 3 weeks of studying flight. Throughout the school, all classes are integrating flight into their studies. The curriculum was enhanced by 4 teachers who were able to get a $13,000 grant for the school.
We knew that we needed a lot of equipment that we didn't have, and we also wanted to do an interdisciplinary unit where the whole school could get together and do something. And so last April, 4 teachers got together and we decided to sit down and write this grant on our own time after school.
The students completed their study of flight Friday and showcased it for parents and the community tonight at their flight night.
The time for talking is over. Tonight, plans are underway to improve future opportunities for 90,000 disadvantaged Illinois children. The ideas come from the Presidential Summit for America's Future, which ended today in Philadelphia. 10 Springfield delegates passed their plan of action on to the governor's representative, his wife, Brenda Edgar. The plan calls for an army of volunteers to mentor and tutor needy children. One delegate says it was a summit of ideas and accomplishments.
Back and to mobilize the community into providing more opportunities for the youth of the Springfield area.
Governor Jim Edgar is calling for a follow-up summit for all Illinois delegates on June 12th at the governor's mansion, and that's when a plan for disadvantaged Illinois children will be finalized.
Well, I don't know, Gus, it was pretty close to perfect today.
It was a great day today. Tomorrow's going to be a little different. Tomorrow we have a big change in the weather. Not too bad in the morning, 55 degrees, your low, very mild overnight. Cloudy sky, though, developing throughout the evening. And in the afternoon, a very good chance for some thunderstorms passing through. 70 degrees your high temperature, but you will notice with the passage of these thunderstorms, some of which could be severe. A big cool down following the passage of this frontal system. We'll have that complete forecast coming up.
Okay, thanks, Gus. If you're a farmer, you can appreciate Gus's forecast. Coming up, we'll tell you how the crops are doing.
Senator Dick Durbin continues his fight against the big tobacco companies.
Plus, flooding isn't the only problem up north. We'll tell you about a flood fraud a little later.
Coming up tomorrow morning on Sunrise, are you afraid to go to an auction?